Ladies and gentlemen, it's a couple of minutes before 7. We do have one person listed, or one group on our public comments, public speaking period. So at this time, if some Boy Scouts or a representative of the Boy Scouts would like to come up, you've got 3 minutes.
Hello, my name is Logan Page, and I'm from Troop 501. I'm on the 2nd class rank, and I'm currently a patrol leader within our troop. Several months ago, the Stewart County Commissioners approved money for the HVAC units to go in our meeting place. They've been working very well, and our whole troop would like to thank you for them. Even though we like to camp and spend most of our time outdoors, it's great having the modern conveniences of air conditioning and heat, instead of using heaters in the winter and fans in the summer. We camp almost every month, so the rooms we meet in make a great place to keep our gear, and the new units make it a better place to keep that. It really helps us dry our tents out after it rains, things like that. We meet every Tuesday evening and have 12 to 13 active scouts. 2 scouts from our troop have obtained the rank of Eagle in the past 6 to 8 months. And we currently have a few scouts working on their Eagle projects right now. Again, our whole troop wanted to state how much we appreciate the new HVAC units, and we will be listening in, trying to get our Citizenship in the Community merit badge. Thank you.
This commission is to be commended for that decision. Thank you very much. I don't think there's anyone else on the public comments speaking period, so we call this meeting of the Stewart County Commission regular session to order. Mr. Commissioner Tibor, would you mind leading us in an invocation? Would everyone please stand and remove your hats?
Holy Father, as we meet tonight, Lord, I ask for your guidance, that you send us down the right road, the way we should go, Lord. Lead our steps. Lord, if we disagree with each other, let us just disagree. We're all entitled to our own opinion, our own vote, Lord. Let everything be done decently and in order. And Father, I do ask a blessing on the people of Ukraine. I pray that you keep all them civilians safe and bless their military. Bless our military wherever they are, Lord. And Father, bless this county, the United States of America, in Jesus' holy name. Amen.
Amen. And we'll ask the Boy Scouts to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, everybody, for your seat. I'll ask the clerk to call the roll.
Here.
Brian Tigger.
Yep.
Randall Redmond. Here. Drew Shepherd. Here. Shane Case. Eric Watkins. Here. Terry Fitzhugh.
Here.
Vince Gray.
Here.
Melissa Fields.
Here.
Howard Joe.
Here.
Andy Luton. Clint Mathis. Jan Black. Here. Martin Norris.
Here.
Madam President, thank you, Clerk. We do have a quorum. Number 5 on the agenda is the approval of the minutes. If everyone's had a chance to go over the minutes from the regular session of January 10th and the call session of February 28th, if you have no additions, subtractions, or changes,
Motion to
we
approve.
have a motion to approve from Commissioner Dortch. Second by Commissioner Fields. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Approved. Number Number 6 on the agenda is to approve the quarterly reports. Do we have any questions about the county general, sheriff's department, emergency medical service, highway department, general purpose school, federal projects, central cafeteria, transportation, or county extension service? Any
Motion to
questions?
approve.
We have a motion to approve by Commissioner Watkins. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Gray. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Quarterly reports are passed. Number 7 on the agenda is to approve notaries. We have new notaries: Kelsey Baez, Taylor Milliken, Cynthia Reichardt, Laura Shemwell, and Margie Smith as renewals. We have a motion to approve the notaries new and renewals.
So moved.
So moved by Commissioner Fields. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Redmond. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Notaries are approved. Number 8 on the agenda is the budget amendments. At this time, we'll turn it over to the chairman of the Budget and Finance Committee, Mr. Gillum.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Fellow Commissioners, turn to page 21 in your packet. We have several of these. A lot of them are just line item transfers. Go through them. If you have a question, slow me down and get an appropriate answer, not from myself, from the department head to be present. Page 21, 22, 23, and 24 are line item transfers. The last one on 24 is line item transfer deals with developing the coalition grant. I have questions about those. Moving on. Okay, we'll go to page 25. The top one there is elections security grant, no match, 100%. The second one is insurance recovery on the damaged sheriff vehicle. The next one is a donation for the K-9 unit, plus they had, part of that is $1,768 is money that was left over. So add the two together and you'll get the figure there. The next one is an increase in the amount of autopsies for the county this year. We were told that they are running about $2,000 an incident, so it is a very expensive situation. This is being offset, the expense of this, by the increase in utility property tax revenue. And you'll see that more than once in your packet. It's not drawing from fund balance per se, but it is extra money above and beyond what we thought would be budgeted. Question about that? All right, the next one is unused reserve funds for coalition, and then you have a medical center grant, 100% no match. Page 26, you have a grant, 100% no match at the top. We have unspent funds on the Visitors Center, plus improvements to the Visitors Center. I have a question about that. Mr. Mayor, you want to address that?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, thank you. This $9,000 that you see is what's left, $9,647. That's what's left, Mr. Chairman, of the original $100,000 that came from the 911. So this other $25,000 is a transfer of money. We're vacating offices over at the annex, and so we had allocated $25,000 to make those spaces ADA compliant. So what we're gonna do, since we're no longer using those spaces, we're gonna make the spaces below us here ADA compliant and use some of that money for that. So that's where that $25,000 comes from. And when this $125,000 gets spent, we'll be finished downstairs, and I'd like to invite everyone to take a tour.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Question about that one there is a little bit. Okay, the next one, we got an increase in budget expenses of the just miscellaneous items, and you can see them listed there. They're being offset by the Conklin Connect, that's the cable of the CMC with your cable to your homes. And then you got the reimbursement from the city and Dover and Cumberland City all together there. Next one, the EMS. Everyone in this room realizes on page 27, same thing. Library is a reserve fund donation for summer reading program. I have questions on those. Page 28, that line item transfer at the top. The second is line item transfer from the direct appropriation grant. Questions on those? And then on page 29 and top of 30, these are the ARPA funds that, hit me out a little bit here, there.
That's the premium pay.
Premium pay, exactly. 27.5 going back to fund balance there at the top. So it's a difference in the actual premium pay and the estimated higher amount that was budgeted. That's the difference in the two. Question? Next one is difference, basically the same thing, only it's a highway department, difference in actual premium pay versus the estimated amount. The bottom one is premium pay for eligible school staff, bus driver, cafeteria workers, volunteer, Superior County Fire and Rescue. Question about those? I will go to page 31, this is the highway department budget transfers, budget amendments. There's no new money there, it's simply moving money from one category to another. Question? Page 32, we have the summer, or the school. The top one is, the big number there, 145,000, that is the summer school grant being plugged into their budget. Rest of them there are line item transfers. And on page 33, the large one near the bottom, 110,000, that was the chillers that they were having repaired. That was the rental money that had to be paid on the chillers while theirs were being repaired. They're simply moving the category from which they're paying that out of. The bottom one there, the 25,000, is new money for a safety grant. And the back one, the federal budget, is a supporting grant, no match money from the county. Have a question about any of these budget transfers at this time? If not, Mr. Chairman, I move that these be accepted, motion to accept.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We have a motion on the floor to accept the budget amendments. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Redmond. Discussion. Without any further discussion, Mr. Clerk, this is a money vote. We'll ask the clerk to call the roll.
Jan Black,
Yes.
Mark Dorr,
Yes.
Jimmy Mullins,
Yes.
Brian Tabor,
Yes.
Randall Redmond,
Yes.
Drew Shepard,
Yes.
Eric Watkins,
Yes.
Terry Pitchu,
Yes.
Ben Scribe,
Yes.
Melissa Fields,
Yes.
Art Joe.
Yes.
Thank you, clerk. The vote is unanimous. Budget amendments passed. The next item on the agenda is discussion concerning bi-monthly county commission meetings. Ladies and gentlemen, we brought this up in the past. We currently meet quarterly, scheduled and called regular meetings, but we meet 6 times a year. But we always meet about 6 times a year. We'll have at least one call meeting and one budget meeting in June. So this will allow us to go ahead and advertise in a routine way without having to, mess up our schedule, come into the middle of the year a couple of times and advertise for a meeting. So I'd like to open the floor on any discussion on what people think about having these commission meetings bi-monthly. Any pros or cons?
Are you saying by a month or 2 a month?
No, I'm sorry, every other month.
Oh.
6 a year. Instead of 4 a year, it'd be 6 a year. And the finance director and executive staff secretary and I have talked about certain months that would have to be included, so, or else we'd have to have another one.
Are you, what are they gonna look like? It's gonna be, January, March?
Terry, do you remember what we said?
Well, you definitely have to have a June session at the end of June, with final payrolls. So if we kept the schedule, say, the second Monday of every month, the June one would have to be different, or we would have to call a session for that. Outside of that, we said that we may be able to start August instead of July, and then run it through like that every other month.
I don't have strong emotions pro or con, but I need proof that we need to do this if I'm gonna vote for that. I like the way we're doing it now, call a session when we, hey, you know, if somebody show me the real need or whatever, then I'll consider it. That's just me.
I'm with Howard Joe, you know, we've been having call sessions when we need one. If something's working, don't mess with it.
Don't fix it.
I don't know, that's just my thought.
How many call sessions we had last year, you know?
I think we had at least two, Commissioner. We had one in June, I think we had one in December.
One in November.
Yeah, I was always fine with five, having every other month. I think I'm the one that made a motion last time, because, you know, this way everybody gets set, and then you got 6 different times that the public can talk to instead of 4. And plus, you would have to have so many call meetings, you know, like you said, you set it up in August, you may never need another call, maybe you just space them out where you need them.
Yeah, Vince and I talked about that before, when we first started. If there's no business to be done, I mean, it wouldn't last very long, but there's also time to maybe discuss certain projects or, you know, anything like that where, you know, you're not gonna call a meeting for that, but if there's certain things that you want to discuss, or it was suggested to me one time that, you know, we all come together and, you know, choose something that we like to work toward in the county. And, you know, that could be discussed. And I know that some, you know, some folks don't wanna do that, they'd rather do the call. Either way, it's fine with me, but just because there's not necessarily any financial business, doesn't mean there's not any business that can be done in the county.
At the same time, there's nothing that couldn't be done if there is business with the call method.
True.
And the only other thing is you have it every other month, you have new business. On a call meeting, you can only discuss what's on the agenda. If it's not on the agenda, nobody can discuss it. Or that's what was always told before.
So would we do away with call meetings?
No, Commissioner, we would have them every other month, but if we needed a call meeting, we'd still have to have them. Something might come up. Commissioner Redmond.
What you're proposing, what we're doing right now, is that part of your business in the county? Is it working good, or what part?
It is working good. We have to schedule at least 2 a year. Maybe, and there's been occasions that we have to schedule 3. That is a little bit of a difficult scheduling process, because we have to go through the advertising in the paper. It's a little bit of an addition that we are not prepared for, whereas if we were doing it every other month, it would be scheduled in advance. It's just up for discussion tonight. If anyone wants to make a motion, we can. I'll put it up for a vote, but if, I did want to put it on the table for discussion tonight. Is there any other further discussion about Bi-County Monthly Commission meetings? Any other questions?
Let us chew on it for a little bit.
Sounds good.
Till the next call meeting.
Sounds
Till the
good.
next call.
Till the next call meeting.
Thank you. If there's no further discussion, we'll move on to agenda item number 10. That's recommend a new member for the Stewart County Industrial Development Board, Laura Reed, for a 2-year term. From May to April, she will be replacing Brian Watson, who has resigned from the Industrial Development Board. Laura Reed is in the financial industry, in the banking industry. She is here tonight if you have any questions for this potential new member of our IDB.
Motion to approve.
We have a motion to approve by Commissioner Watkins, thank you. Second by Commissioner George. Any discussion?
Yes.
Which
Which
one?
lady is it? I like to know who I'm voting
Okay. Would you like to suspend the rules so she can?
for. Well, I just need to talk, I just want to know who she is. I don't.
Okay, Ms. Laura Reed, would you mind standing up?
Is that it? Sam?
Any further discussion? All those in favor, vote by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Let the record reflect that Laura was approved unanimously. Thank you. At this time, number 11 on the agenda is the Oversight Committee recommendations. We'll turn this over to the Chairman of the Oversight Committee, Commissioner Watkins.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The Oversight Committee met, about 2 weeks ago. We looked at several things, had a lot of discussion. We did vote unanimously to allocate $600,000 in ARPA money to $400,000 for the Highway Department, $100,000 for the Ambulance Service, $100,000 for the Sheriff's Department, for a total of $600,000. Now, my understanding from the Ambulance Service that they only needed $50,000 of theirs. So this will, the $450,000, $250,000 of the highway, $50,000 for the ambulance service, and $150,000 left over will be for capital projects for these. My understanding that will not have to be used in the upcoming budget. And, so we did vote to approve $600,000, and $450,000 of that will be used for capital projects. And we voted also unanimously to give 4 school nurses $2,000 apiece for premium pay. There we go.
Can you go over the numbers again there?
Okay.
You said first 400,
If we voted to spend $600,000, 400 for the highway, 100 for the ambulance service, 100 for the sheriff's department, out of the 600,000, I kind of messed that up, Drew. 450 of that would be for capital projects, new dump trucks, new patrol cars, and some kind of medical equipment for the ambulance service they use in CPR. That answers your question.
yeah,
Okay. So the chair makes a motion to approve those recommendations.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We have a motion on the floor to approve the Oversight Committee recommendations to allocate $600,000 in ARPA funding to the highway, the ambulance service, the sheriff, and then to school nurses, 4 school nurses in our school system. Do I have a second? Second by Commissioner Redmond. Discussion.
yes.
Commissioner.
Can we get, Ronnie up here? I don't think this is what his understanding was.
So let me see if I can, before we bring him up, let me see if I can kind of help clarify. So, the Oversight Committee approved $600,000 to be spent to the highway, the ambulance service, and the sheriff. Until January and February of this year, we've been told that no ARPA funding could be used for capital projects. That was until January and February of this year. With the lost revenue in the government services category, we can now use this money. This allows us to spend this federal money on capital projects. In turn, we can spend county revenue to increase worker pay or provide a COLA to our workers. So, if we take this money, this ARPA money, and we spend it on capital projects, we don't have to spend county money on capital projects. We can now spend ARPA federal funds on capital projects. The highway department wants to spend $250,000 on 2 tandem dump trucks. The ambulance service wants to spend $51,000 or $52,000 on 3 auto CPR units. And then the sheriff's department, I think, has $150,000 in new patrol cars. So that 100, okay. So that comes up to about $400,000. So there's an extra $200,000 in there for the highway to spend at its discretion. Not the original 500 that we thought about, but it's 200. And then the other 250,000 that he can spend on capital projects. Does that clear it up a little bit for you, Drew? You still want to suspend the rules and let the highway department come up?
Yeah, I like that one.
Okay, you suspend the rules, vote, ask us, have to have a motion to suspend the rules, second. All those in favor? Ronnie, come on up and,
Yeah, I was just understanding that the dump trucks was gonna come out of a different one, and the money that I was gonna get to use for paying. That's what we
So-
originally thought.
so, is that your question?
Yes,
Are you good? Would you like me to respond?
yes.
Okay, so, when we intended to spend $500,000 to the highway department, it was our greatest hope that some of this money could be spent on Albert Glasgow Road or maybe Big Rock Bridge, because we have a lot of complaints from our citizens that Albert Glasgow Road is a public safety hazard. The bus transportation director tells us that, the sheriff tells us that, the ambulance service tells us that, the fire chief tells us that. Albert Glasgow Road, with a sawmill right in the middle of it, has a problem. And so we had really hoped that some of this money could be spent on Albert Glasgow Road. But the highway department has prioritized this money to go to Honey Ford. Well, that doesn't help us with Albert Glasgow. So we said, if we can't get the public safety concerns addressed, maybe we don't need to send that much money there, we can spend that money on capital projects. So that was my whole reasoning. If your misunderstanding was because we hoped that the money would go to Albert Glasgow Road because of the public safety concerns, but you told us it wouldn't, so I recommended that the money go in a different direction.
Part of it, the intersection of Albert Glasgow, I'm fixing so people can turn to go left. But far as road being bad, dangerous, there is no comparison between Albert Glasgow and Honeyport. And Standard Rock, there is no comparison. And I got gravel roads. If any one person in here drove from Hurricane Creek Rock Church all the way to Ledwood Road, and then go to Albert Glasgow and ask me why I wouldn't fix Hurricane Creek or Lee Hollow before I would do that, nobody would.
I've been sitting up here a long time, and I don't know if we've ever told the road engineer where to go work, what roads to work on. Same way Sheriff Harvey, we ain't gonna go out there and tell Sheriff how to run his job. And it sounds like he's being strong-armed a little bit here, saying, well, we're not gonna fund this if you don't do it our way. And that, to me, that's not right. And I was told after I made this vote, I know I'm on the oversight committee. Well, anyhow, Ronnie was wrong $500,000. Well, when we got the oversight committee, 200,000 was cut from Ronnie to 300,000. Okay, then the sheriff's department, 100,000, the ambulance service. Well, I found out later that the ambulance service only wanted 50,000. And I found out later the sheriff's department didn't even know they did any money. That's what I was told. And to me, your sort of strong army man here, he's got a right to work on what roads he wants to work on. And to me, the county committee shouldn't be strong arming the man, telling him where to go work. And you're saying, well, if you don't work on the Albert Glasgow road like we want, we're not gonna fund it. We're not gonna fund it. That's not right. Not right. He's road supervisor.
And I'm gonna fix, in pretty much anybody's opinion, I'm starting with the worst road and working my way up. As far as safety, I don't know that there's ever been a wreck on Albert Glasgow. How many wrecks has been on Standing Rock? How many wrecks have any of y'all tried to go up to Hurricane Creek Field? You know, like an ambulance? the little kids going in a bus up and down that road. I don't wanna get nobody else involved in this, but I guarantee you, if a bus went down Albert Glasgow and that same driver went to Lee Hollow or Hurricane Creek, not a one of them would say Albert Glasgow.
Ronnie, I ain't never, we have never, we been on the road supervisor, and this county commission has never dictated where that man will work.
Well, I'm not gonna fix a better road just because of a squeaky wheel. I don't care about squeaky wheels. I fix what I know is morally right. I go to bed every night sleeping, knowing I done the best I could. If I went out there and done that road, I would be morally wrong, because I have worse roads. Anybody is more than welcome to get in that old white truck. Let me take them for about a 20-minute ride, and then see all they need to see.
Didn't you say, even on Albert Glasgow Road, if you fix that, didn't you say with equipment that comes across there and just tear it right back up? I know we discussed that plenty of times. It's almost like it's not where you can repair unless you tell the sawmill they
And
can't
someday-
bring their equipment up. back and forth
Someday
across
I
the
will
road.
fix Albert Glasgow when it is not as dangerous as another road. Hurricane Creek Road, Honey Fork Road has 700, I forget how many cars a day. And 2 cars trying to pass a school bus, it's dangerous. You know, and I hate it that I can't fix them all. But I am gonna fix the worst to the best, at least while I can. And that I'm gonna do.
Mr. Chairman, I'll say this, if somebody calls me tonight and says, I want you, as commissioner, to get my road fixed, here's gonna be my answer. I understand your concern, I may talk to the highway supervisor about it, but it's gonna be his decision whether he fixes your road or not, because I'm not on the roads every day, and I don't know where they are. It's gonna be his decision. Now, that's gonna be my answer, might not be anybody else's, but that's gonna be my answer. You're gonna have to talk to Mr. Sumner, because he's gonna decide which road's gonna be fixed. Now, that's gonna be my answer.
There you go.
That's right, that's all I've got to say.
7 Mile Bridge has, traffic out there has just exploded. You know, and it's got some dangerous stuff on it, I gotta fix.
So it's incumbent upon me, not as chair of the commission, but as county mayor, to listen to the citizens. So if I have transportation directors or fire chiefs or ambulance directors or sheriffs and citizens that are telling me this is a public safety issue, I have to bring that before the commission. It's incumbent upon me to bring it before the commission to let everyone know that there are public safety questions going on. So I've done that, and that was my intention. Now, I want everyone to remember that this recommendation by the Oversight Committee, now that we've cleared up what the sheriff and the ambulance service needs, will still send $250,000 to the highway department for capital projects and $200,000 for road improvements. So it's not like he's completely being cut out.
Chairman,
Yes.
one thing you mentioned earlier about complaints about Big Rock Road, you can ask Randy, there's people driving that road every day has for years, no complaints. We've had one family moved over there, and they complain all the time. That's what you're hearing.
One
The rest of Big
citizen,
Rock's fine.
one citizen. I was born and raised there, Randall was born and raised there. Do you ever know a wreck that happened on the Big Rock Bridge, the one right there, James Worthing Road?
Not from the roads.
No. But you got one citizen that can really stir up some stuff. Absolutely doesn't bother me, because I know that bridge is safe. Eric went down there and looked at it, and a guy from Nashville, Brett, come and looked at it and said, there's nothing wrong with that bridge. So when the state man comes and looks at it, that's enough. When Eric looked at it, said that's enough. I looked at it, the bridge is good. To me, that is close.
Ronnie, the lady called me a couple of times, and I told her, I'm not a bridge inspector, but my highway superintendent tells me it's okay, and that's all I need to know. And she said, do you have a problem with bus crossing that bridge? And I said, no, ma'am, I don't. Never have had.
She said that worried about all the wrecks and stuff. I was born and raised there, I don't ever remember a wreck.
No, me.
Brandon?
Can't let one person complain and just try to move everything. That's how you got prayers at a school. I believe we got one at the school system wants to complain all the time too. Sometimes you just gotta ignore one and go with the majority.
And I've mentioned that a couple times, like Commissioner Joe was saying, that if somebody calls me and wants me to, that's what you get, come and fix my road. But, and that's, you know, I send them to Ronnie, and I've sent several people to Ronnie, but, being a resident on Standing Rock, which I hate to be like, hey, come and fix my road, Ronnie, but there's a part of Standing Rock that's gonna fall in the creek at some point. It's just, because when you try to pass a car and you have to move over, one day somebody's just gonna roll off into the creek, and that's dangerous. I don't know what Honey Fork is like.
And Honey Fork is just about as bad as any of them, and that's what I'm saying, is I'm gonna start at my worst road and work my way up. I got a squeaky wheel in out of Glasgow, makes me no difference. I'm gonna do what I think is morally right, and fix the road I think is the worst.
We shouldn't dictate the U1 road.
But I will tell you,
I'm not going with that.
anybody to get in the vehicle with me and just look.
I'm not gonna dictate the U1 road to go on. If somebody calls me like they're saying, I will talk to you about a situation, and most of the time, you've always tried to help. And,
Guarantee if I got Mr. Brandon there and rode with me 20 minutes, Ronnie, you're wrong.
I know we still have a discussion, but with the, wheel tax, are we gonna be able to use it for road department one day?
It won't mature for another 5 years, so, but that will come back into the general fund, debt service, so. If it is a private act enacted at the state level, so there's no expiration date on that.
Or as I said, I know there's, like you talking about 7 Mile Ridge Road, there's a lot of gravel roads that a lot more people build on.
Remember, Commissioner, that was school bonds, that money was to pay for schools, and in about 8 or 10 more years, we're gonna need a new school out of New Stewart. So there may be a few years of a window that we could save money there. So remember, what we're talking about right now is $600,000 that have been recommended by oversight. This commission can change that up. Right now, we have 250, or 50,000 going to the ambulance and 100 going to, the sheriff, and so that leaves 450 going right now to the highway.
Just want to make a motion to bring it back in session.
We have a motion on the floor to unsuspend the rules, bring it back into session. A second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Raymond. Thank you. Thank you. Any further discussion?
The only thing I was gonna ask is, with all this money we're spending out, talking about patrol cars and everything, does that mean the budget this year will be asking for no vehicles anywhere?
Not in the county revenue. We're gonna try to use that for COLA for our employees and, price wage hikes. We're gonna try to help our employees out.
The other question, does the school get any money?
For what? Oh, for our,
Yeah, for like ARC or anything, for buses or anything?
the school has a lot of money, Commissioner. They have a lot more than the county does.
I just wondered if they had their own.
You could unsuspend the rules and we could ask the representatives.
Because I know we talked about many times, having a bus fund, patrol fund, you know, for the pennies figured out, so we don't have to do, where we borrow loans for 5 years.
And then the Budget and Finance Committee meetings that are coming up, starting tomorrow, we'll be addressing. Any other discussion? Do you not have a motion on the floor for this? I thought we had a motion on the
We
floor.
have a motion and a second.
We have a motion and a second and discussion for this money, as we said, $600,000. 100 for the sheriff, 50 for the ambulance service, and 450 for the highway department. That's the motion on the floor.
Just one more question, just to verify that, was we actually talking about at one time giving them $650?
And we were gonna give them 500,000?
We were gonna give them 500,000 just for road repair. But that was
That's
before,
besides the dump truck.
but that was before, Commissioner, we found out in January that we could use this money on capital projects. Once we found out we could use federal money on local capital projects, that saves us county money. Question, Mr. Wade?
I just know it's very expensive to repair these roads. And, you need all the money to get from us, whoever.
So at this point right now, it's very fluctuating as far as how much money we have left, because there are a couple of places that you've already allocated the money that may not get their money. So, but as of right now, a good solid figure to look at of ARPA money that we have left is about $370,000. After everything goes out, including what could be approved tonight. Now, we want to use that for matching funds for infrastructure projects that are coming down the line. For example, there's ARPA money coming to the health department. We've already got the interior, a $500,000 grant to remodel the interior, but there's ARPA money coming for the exterior, the roof and other parts of the exterior, the windows and the doors, but that requires a match. So they'll get ARPA money, but the county has to pay a match. So we pay the match out of that $370,000 that we have left. So be very careful in the city.
What's the match?
The match on the health department, I believe it's 20%. Yeah, so out of a $466,000 grant, ARPA grant, and that's about $118,000, $120,000 match for the county. So we need to try to save a little bit of money for matching funds.
Is that the only, place you got to get a match?
No. Whitey Vaughn, Mayor of Cumberland City, has a sewer lift project. That's a $200,000 project. You know, we could get a little bit of a break on that match. Could be less, but still, that's going to be, you know, $20,000 match right there. Any other discussion about the motion on the floor? Any modifications? You want to make any changes to the recommendations of the Oversight Committee? Commissioner?
I still feel like, I think they should get $500,000. You know, that's very important. You know, I know we can't.
So would you ask this commission to come back at a later date and then also approve the money for his capital projects, which is about $250,000 more? I don't know that we have the money for
I got $3. Look at it a little bit, see, you know. We might get some more money from the government. You can't tell.
Any further discussion? We have a motion on the floor to approve $150,000 to the sheriff and the ambulance service and $450,000 to the highway department to be spent as he sees fit. I mean, that's what this commission can decide, and this is the thing. If this commission decides that he can spend the entire amount of money on highways, when he comes back to ask for $250,000 in capital projects, you're gonna have to think about that too, at that time. And that could be at the expense of our employees who are facing inflation and higher fuel costs. So just remember that.
I'm on there running county paying that. Everybody's working and getting hit. Everybody.
But we're responsible for our county employees. So,
if we kept it the way the work was and we put the $250,000 toward his dump trucks in his budget for improvement, or?
That would be a question for the highway superintendent.
I know you.
Put in capital project, you wouldn't.
If this commission makes that determination.
I didn't hear what you said.
If it was put in capital project, you couldn't.
But, I mean, if he purchased the dump trucks with the ARPA funding, could he take it out of capital projects and put it into the general fund?
I don't even know if you can take that capital project.
Finance Director, do you have any input on this? Do you have anything you want to say?
I mean, until we get into the budgets to show all the capital project requests, because there's more than just what's being discussed right now, and there's step scale raises that are being asked, there's a lot of different things on the table, so it's hard without having a full picture to know exactly.
This commission could approve the $450,000 to the highway department tonight. He could spend it however he wanted to. And then he can come back and ask for capital, if he spend it all on highway improvements, he can come back and budget and ask for capital project money. That's your choice. What's that, Commissioner? Sorry?
I say, could we table this discussion to the next, until all of this comes through, until all of this comes through? Is it something that we could take?
And the other thing is, can we afford it?
Well,
I mean, if we're talking about 500,000 the first time, was it 500,000 with the dump trucks, or we just talking about giving it 500,000 right off?
500,000 without. So I believe the oversight committee approved the 500,000. The capital requests that I have right now are 250 for the highway, 100 for patrol vehicles, another $60,000 for parking lot, which would be the sheriff paying the highway department, 52,000 for the EMS, and then a number of step raises. We have increases. So there's all kinds of things we need to look at to decide what's going to come from fund balance, what's going to come from the revenue offsets, what's going to come from ARPA funding, that type of thing.
That's the reason I was saying if we pass that, and the budget committee, they wouldn't be asking for new patrol cars and new.
Yeah, if you pass it tonight, then that would be part of the Fund 127, which is the ARPA. I'll be bringing it in budget, but it will be part of that budget, not the general operating fund, which is, or general capital projects funds, which you're familiar with.
What's the deadline on these funds?
Oh, we've got until December 31st, 2024 to spend these on.
I'm on motion, we table this and for further study, get further input from the department heads, what they want, and maybe we move along a little further in the budget, we'll kind of realize what we can do. I'm gonna make a motion, this be tabled.
Can we back out the original motion that we had on the floor?
I'll withdraw my motion.
You withdraw your motion, okay?
Who takes the second?
Randall, you withdraw your second?
I'll withdraw.
You withdraw your motion, Eric, and Commissioner? you-
I withdraw my motion, okay? If you withdraw the motion, you don't need it. You know, am I right?
You're, okay, it's just settled, and we'll revisit this.
Yeah.
another time.
I think that's the best thing to do.
We have a call meeting.
Thank you, Commissioner. Okay, the next item on the agenda is the, if you'll look, you've got one piece of paper in front of you that's highlighted, guys, ladies and gentlemen. What that tells you in the highlighted part, this fancy name, Consultant Selection Policy for Projects Funded in Whole or in Part with funds provided by the Federal Highway Administration or the Tennessee Department of Transportation. What those are written procedures for the selection of consultants. That's what that means. So, if the state is going to give us $500,000 in a multimodal sidewalk project, they want to make sure that we have procedures in place for the selection of consultants. We don't. So, if you don't have procedures in place for the selection of consultants, you can formally adopt Form 1-2, which is in your packet. So Form 1-2 is basically the written procedures for the selection of consultants. And if we want to get this $500,000 multimodal sidewalk project, if we want to spend the state's money on this, then we have to follow their policy. And that's what this is.
Motion to approve.
We have a motion to approve by Commissioner Dorn, second by Commissioner Joe. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? 12 all passes. Number 13, approve the uniform guidance conflict of interest policy for Stewart County governments.
That's the same one we've always had.
That's the same one. Might as well approve it.
We do have a county, ethics policy. This is an actual form that the County Technical Assistance, or CTAS, sent us for federal money, mainly because we have this ARPA, American Rescue Plan Act fund. We have to make sure that we have a uniform guidance policy in place to be part of compliance with the federal government. And that's what this 2-page is. It's above and beyond what our normal policy would be.
Thank you. We have a motion by Commissioner Dorsch. Do I have a second? Second by Commissioner Shepherd. All those in favor to approve the uniform guidance conflict of interest policy for Stewart County governments, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right, motion passes unanimously. Number 14, approve the extension of term for the Rail Authority Committee members to expire on April 12th, 2024. That's Nancy Spires.
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Dorsch. Second.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Redmond. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? 14 passes. Number 15, approve terms for the E911 committee members. You see them there. Dale Ward, Darren Crutcher, Mary Teeber, Deanna Hutchison, Jenny Hyde, Carter Cottrell, Donna Lancaster, Tom Myers, and Jerry Barnes. Their dates for extension, their terms are listed there. Do I have a motion to approve the terms for the E911 committee members?
So moved.
So moved by Commissioner Joe, second by
Second.
Commissioner Shepherd. All those in favor, any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Right. 15 passes. Approval of surplus property, Stewart County Public Library, a conference table, 2 podiums, and 1 book deal.
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Watkins. Second. Second by Commissioner Dorch. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All right. Any new business from anyone?
Yes.
Commissioner Black.
I would like to bring up the illegal bid award that was awarded for the basement concrete work in the building that we're sitting in right now. The bid was not made with the lowest and most responsive bidder. The terms of the bid solicitation requires that a responsive bidder be one that is fully conforms in all material respects to the solicitation document and all of its requirements, including all forms and substance. The bidder that the county mayor awarded the bid to failed to bid on 2 specific things. One was comprehensive general liability insurance in the amount of $1 million. They also failed to provide for a supervision of an approved concrete testing agency to review the concrete as it was being poured. That was one of the specific requirements in the bid. And the individual that the mayor awarded the bid to did not provide for that requirement. Now, there's 2 things. The court calls into question the pour itself, and secondly, the other individual who bid on the contract and who was in compliance with the requirements could bring a lawsuit against this county because the mayor illegally awarded the contract to PNT Concrete. PNT Concrete is not a licensed contractor in the state of Tennessee, nor do they carry the insurance that was required. There's 2 specific things in this bid solicitation that was mandated, and they did not comply with it. Yet, our mayor illegally awarded a contract to them. Why? I don't know. There was another bidder who was in compliance with all state requirements and all state law. But the mayor chose to award it to someone else. Notwithstanding that fact, there's a requirement for public buildings in the state of Tennessee that if it's over 5,000 square foot or requires electrical or plumbing work, that you have to have a licensed A&E architect draw and prepare the serves two purposes. One, to ensure it complies with state standards, and secondly, to ensure the safety and security of the people that are going to be working in this building or visiting this building. I want to put a motion on the floor that this group officially sanction the mayor for his illegal award of that contract. And I want to read you a little something here that the mayor put out in the paper. We need commissioners and elected officials that will step up to the plate and be accountable. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time to step up to the plate and be accountable. Your mayor violated state law, and numerous state laws, not just one. I want a motion to sanction the mayor.
We have a motion on the floor.
Step up to the plate.
Are you finished, Commissioner? Are you finished?
I'm finished.
We have a motion on the floor to sanction the mayor. I don't know exactly, you might want to repeat exactly why you want to sanction it. Now, you're not going to...
Illegally awarding the contract in violation of state law, numerous state statutes.
We have a motion on the floor.
And for those of you who I sent emails to, you have copies of the bid solicitation package. Whether you took the time to read it or not, I don't know, but it was forwarded to you. And all this information was the result of the Freedom of Information Act request for the mayor's office.
And just for clarification,
You
Commissioner,
have no.
just for clarification to this body, you have already taken these complaints to the state comptroller's office and to the grand jury, and you've been denied on both places, haven't you?
No.
Just for full disclosure,
No,
you haven't.
I have not, no.
We have a motion on the floor.
They're still under investigation. But this is for this body to sanction you for illegally violating the state law.
Well, apparently the grand jury doesn't agree with you,
I
Commissioner.
don't care what the grand jury is.
I know you
This is a different organization.
So we have a motion on the floor, Commissioner. Do we have we have yet to have a second. Do we have a second to sanction the mayor for illegal activities in the basement?
Time for somebody to step up and second.
Motion dies for lack of a second. Is there other new business on the floor? So I would like to tell everybody that every week we're getting new prospects in the Stewart Houston Industrial Park. Every week. We have a really good potential client coming in there right now. It's an ammunition manufacturer, which would really fit well with Stewart County. They already have a warehouse across the river on Old Highway 79. Some of you might be familiar with Back Ridge Ammunition. So they may be trying to make a play for the spec building in Cumberland City, and if they do, they will be either coming back to this body or to the Stewart County Industrial Development Board to ask for forgiveness on the ad valorem taxes, like we did before. So I just wanted to give you a heads up that they may be bringing a number of jobs to Cumberland City in the manufacture of ammunition, and you might want to ask for forgiveness of taxes in the same way that you did in the last term. So I did want to bring that up, just give you a heads up on that. The name of that parent company is Migras, M-I-G-R-A-S, and Back Ridge Ammunition is a subsidiary of that. Also, in other new business, quickly, the basement at the visitors, the basement downstairs that certain individuals said that we couldn't get done for $650,000, we're going to have done for $125,000. And once that's done, I want everybody in this room to come downstairs and look at what we've done in this basement for $125,000. Because we've got to fix the outside. So we need to pave the outside, we need to stripe the outside, and maybe we need to rub down the walls on the back side. So I just want you to know that we may be coming before this body to maybe ask for a little bit more money for the parking lot improvements downstairs. Once I show you what we've done with 125,000, Commissioner.
Which offices are you looking at?
So we're moving from the annex, we're moving all of the archives, which is in 3 rooms of the annex right now, and the Veterans Service Office. So everyone in that lower area of the annex will be completely gone and divested from the county. The only part of that annex that the county will be responsible for will be the juvenile court and the election commission. And I want to give you another heads up. Both of those buildings need roofs. And I think the school would agree, this might be the county's responsibility to put the roofs on those 2 buildings. Those will be the only 2 offices left in the annex. We'll have the archives downstairs and the Veterans Service Office downstairs.
One of them does leak awful bad.
Any other new business?
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn by Commissioner Terry, second by Commissioner Ford. All those in favor, stand up.